have certainly found the lions. Come and take a closer look. We just want to try and get you a quick glimpse from on foot. I think they might know that we're here, but I'm not entirely sure. I've just had a very, very brief glimpse of them. And if we just creep forward a few meters, so over here, take a look through there. They've got a little bit of a fright actually, and they're all moving off. And that's a good sign of how predators are often more cautious of us than actually wanting to attack us. As soon as they caught wind of us, they've started moving away. But Noelle does know that. They hear Herbie's just called on the radio. So hopefully she's going to come into this area and relocate. I don't want to put any more pressure on them. But yay, we've got them. And they've been slinking in and out of this little riverbed to our right and up onto the road here is obviously where they've ended up. How awesome. Our first lions on foot in a couple of months. So very, very exciting stuff. Now we're just going to stay put here, wait for Noelle to come in and give us some better directions as to where these lions have moved to. Well, like I said, we're just going to...
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have indeed. They're lying here in the shade, being very lion-like and lazy, but having a look around. It doesn't look like they've eaten too recently, so hopefully they'll be hunting. Seb and I last night as we came home passed by some zebra. So we know the zebra are in the area. We know they like zebra. They also would probably go for a kudu, big male Nyala. You know that we haven't seen buffalo here in a while, and we're probably not going to see buffalo for a while with this lack of grazing material. So lack of grass. And there's the tiny little cub in the back there. Just getting up because Mom's gone into the shade. So we got little leopard cub. Now here's our little lion cub. And you all know I love uber cuteness, so this is making my day. And you also all know that I really love lions. So I'm seeing one adult female, and then I'm seeing the tiny little one, and then I'm seeing all of the juvenile. I can't see, or they're possibly behind us where I can't see. But this is not the whole pride. So again, the mom of the little one, and then all the sub-adults. Now this one that's just in the middle of your screen towards the back, this one is looking like a young male. Can you see the tiny little scruff there of what will eventually be the mane? Now Tristan has amazing views on Tundi and that little cub, so I think let's head on over to him to see if that cub manages to make it down that tree safely and investigate a possible sighting of Shadow and her youngster. Hello, awesome insects with Scott. We're back with the Nkuhumas. Shadow and Cub, as you know, went into Hoffman's where we can't drive, and then there was guests on their decks at Chitwa Dam, so we've left them in peace to enjoy their morning. So we're back with our beautiful little sub-adults and juveniles here with the Nkuhumas. The sun has gone away because it is very cloudy now, and so they have come out from their spot under the bushes to the middle of the road, which is great for us, gives us a very nice view. And I would be curious to know where the other adult females are other than the one with the little youngster. Maybe they're off hunting, or, as I said before, maybe they're just in spots where we can't see. We'll have to wait. Now, let's just assume, because it's the only one we can see, there's just the one adult female here. If something comes past to hunt, it is possible for her to take down big prey on her own. It's just a little bit trickier. And these ones are small enough where they're not really able to help in the hunt. But if she were to get it down, they're just big enough that they might be able to help after that. They see something, so I'm actually thinking maybe I just want to come around to this little spot here on the side. I want to see what they're looking at, because they might be looking at the rest of the pride that we haven't seen yet in the bushes. Hold on one sec. Now they're looking at us, obviously, because we started the car. No, I'm still only seeing the one adult lioness in the back under the bush there. Just to there. Who's eating some grass, so her belly hurts, and then her tiny little cub is just to the left. But I'm not seeing any of the other adults. So the other possibility besides them hunting is there was the one female that was still mating. They might have gone looking for her if they heard her calling. And then, leaving this female with her young cub and the juveniles together when they're not too far away is also a possibility as well. Hannah, good question. You want to know if all cats, including lions, purr when they're happy. Hannah, out of the big cats, the only big cat that I know that purrs is a cheetah. Lions don't purr, and leopards don't purr. I've never seen a tiger, but both lions and leopards are in the genus Panthera, as is a tiger. So I would assume that they also don't purr. That would be my thought behind that. And this poor mummy is looking very hungry in the back. It's interesting, the juveniles are just watching her eat this grass. They're basically, there you can see that. There, she needs to eat. Look, she's not going to die. She needs to eat within the next sort of 4 or 5 days. And every time she moves, the juveniles are looking at her. They're basically going to use her for cues. So if she stays here, they'll stay here. If she moves off, they'll move off. She's in charge. And for any of you mothers out there with a large brood of children or even a small brood of children, when you're not feeling very well and you've got all these little ones to look after, it's not the best situation. It's a little bit hard. So with her tummy problems and then all of these kids, I'm sure she's not in the best mood. But at least it's not too hot. If the cloud cover hadn't come over, it would be a little bit more difficult. She hears something, as do the juveniles. Guide Monkey, you'd like to know why do the lions have dark patches behind their ears? Guide Monkey, there's several theories about the dark patches behind the ear as well as the dark tip to the tail. Some people will tell you that it is a follow me signal. Other people will tell you that it's part of camouflage. For me, what I've noticed the most with the dark behind the ears like that is when the lionesses are hunting, they sometimes fan out and they can keep an eye on each other when they're behind each other with those little dark patches behind the ear in taller grass. I've seen that happen often. But I think that it's very similar to, say, why does a water buck have a circle on the bum? I think we can make theories, but we're not necessarily going to know. For me, the camouflage theory works in a bit better than any of the other theories, but that's just my personal opinion. The black tip to the tail right there, when the lions are walking, you can actually see with this female that's moving in front of us, you can see where the edge of her sorry for my hat. You can see where the edge of her tail sits, and it'll just curl up a little bit more. Little lion's eyes are right there, so that's easy to follow through the grass. So for the tip of the tail, I would definitely agree with a follow me signal. And then with the black behind the ears, I would lean more towards camouflage. Christopher, you want to know how often do lions have to drink water? Christopher, they can drink sort of whenever they feel like it if there's water around, but they don't have to. They get a lot of the moisture that they need from the meat that they eat. And in very arid areas like the Kalahari and the Karahari, where water is not always available, you'll tend to see their territories are built more around any artificial water holes or seasonal pans, and they move through there. And on a hot day, they might go down and have a drink, but they usually are drinking water after they eat to help digest their food if it's present. They keep looking into the drainage line, so I'm wondering, with this weather, if more of the Nkuhumas are going to come through that part of the Milwaukee. We'll keep an eye out, and while we're keeping an eye out, Tristan is still with our gorgeous Tundi and that cute little cub, so I think let's head on over to him. And then Seb and I will sit tight and see what's potting with our lazy lions. There, they're moving. I'm going to come around these trees, and we're going to see them. And Taxon's giving me the thumbs up, and I'm giving him the thumbs up back. There we go. Hungry lionesses. So let's move around this way. Apparently, they were hunting some warthog, but I have a feeling that those warthogs, sorry for the back of my head, I have a feeling that those warthogs have moved away, and one of the ones that's been hunting is our lioness that has the wound on the side. But you're going to see now that she's able to move well, even with that wound. I know you guys worry about it. Let's just come around the corner here. Hello, ladies. There we go. Gorgeous. And yeah, they definitely have not eaten in quite a while. So I think if we stick with them, we might see some really crazy action. Very cool. Ooh, sorry, Tristan's saying that Tundi's moving. I think maybe before we lose her, should we maybe go back to her? I'm not sure if he still has visual. Okay, we're going to stay with us. I don't think that I think she's seen the lions from what Tristan says, so she's moving quite quickly. I can also hear monkeys and baboons going. So Tristan's not too far from where we are, obviously, if Tundi can see these lions. So I think Tristan's going to do what he needs to do that side, and we're going to do what we need to do our side. No, I don't think these lions have seen Tundi and the cub. I think that they are busy with other things. And I believe Tristan has managed to get another sighting of Tundi as she moves. So let's go over to him. Oh, so we're here. This one's got a wound on her head, possibly from fighting over a kill at some point, or possibly from hunting. Tristan's over this way. And then our lions are moving this way. Do you remember the sighting that we had a couple of days ago with Scott and myself with Tundi? And then later in the evening, we swapped over and Scott followed her and she went to a termite mound just in the drainage line here. That's kind of where we're headed. And as we know, Tundi's not there. Tundi's with her cub that side. And it's interesting that Tristan says she's coming over to investigate more. It's sort of like what plovers do when they start to distract away from their little ones. They're trying to draw attention. I don't think that Tundi actually physically wants to gain the attention of the lions, but I do think she wants to see where the lions are going so that she knows she's safe. Now, where the lions are headed are away from where Tundi is, and the wind's blowing this way, so they shouldn't get scent of the kill and or of Tundi. But they're also heading into an area, two things. One, it's going to be tricky for me to follow, but then two, we get a lot of Nyala and kudu and things like that in this area. So I'm going to do the best that I possibly can, keeping up with them, because watching lions hunt is one of my favorite pastimes. And I know that all of you enjoy some lion action as well. Here we go. They're just in front of us now. So please excuse the back of my head and all the bumps as I'm busy trundling along here. Now, my guess would be that if they come across something smaller, they will try just because they're hungry. But obviously their best bet is to get something larger like a wildebeest or a zebra or a big kudu. Warthog's a nice meal, but warthog is also a tricky meal. Sorry, injured lioness, but she seems to be doing fine. And then our lioness with the big claw mark on her forehead is just behind. Now, luckily for us, they're not heading into the drainage line. They're heading slightly away from the drainage line and actually moving back in the general direction of where we had the rest of the pride. So they might head straight back there. But I do think they're going to do a little bit of hunting beforehand. Now, while I'm busy trying to loop around, let's head back to Tristan with Tundi and keep our Feline Friday full of felines. Tristan, they were moving and they were heading, as we were saying, sort of north and then a bit west, and the wind changed. The wind died down and then it changed. They've now changed direction. They're now walking to where Tundi had hidden the cub in this drainage line, and also in the general direction of where that wind is blowing, which is actually blowing from where Tristan, where you are with Tundi and that kill. Now, everybody, I don't think that they know that Tundi's there. I do think that they suspect that something's up. Again, apologizing for the back of my head. I just need to keep my eyes and ears open. This is the lioness in front when the wind changed, and she's changed everybody's direction. This one here. I'm going to try and get around a little bit. I'm also trying to see, because we were up a little bit higher. We're probably about 400, 500 meters away from where Tristan and Tundi are. And I was trying to see if I could see them from here, but I couldn't physically see them. I just know where they were because of where we were yesterday. And then obviously Tristan and I chat. You're going to get a nice look at this wound on her head here, this claw mark. Oh, sorry, sweetie. No, she's too interested in whatever she smelled. And my thought process is that it's Tundi. I'm just going to turn the car just slightly. It's not going to work. Let's go around this way. She's way too interested. Now, yeah, here we go. We're going to come around like this. And it's interesting. She's using her smell, but she's also trying to use her eyesight. Debbie, you're curious to know why are leopards so successful? Obviously, Tundi with her 2 kills, and the lions are struggling. Debbie, lions and leopards are not successful and successful in different proportions. It has to do with what's... sorry, Seb, I'm trying to get you a visual, everybody, but it's difficult. Leopards will hunt things that are smaller as well as things that are larger. And because leopards will hunt, baby mice and scorpions and, diker and steenbok and all of this, they have a higher success rate, but it's not necessarily things that fill them up all the time. Now, Tundi was very lucky with her kills. She's very skillful, but it was also a bit of luck. These lionesses are also skillful, but a predator's not going to eat necessarily every day. It's not really how they're meant to be. There we go. This is a little bit better, everybody. Or else there wouldn't be any prey species left. So, lions in general are not as successful as leopards, but it's not by a huge percentage point. It's similar. There's that wound on that one female, and then the female that's just to our 3 o'clock, we can actually see when she's looking at us, we'll see that mark on her. Every time I want to show you this mark, she keeps turning her head or moving around. So these lionesses, their success rate, just the 3 of them right now, is going to be no more than about 15%. And I would put Tundi's success rate in general probably around 25-30%. And that's the top end. If there's more lionesses here or more lions, male lions included, that success rate will go up a little bit higher for the lions, closer to sort of about 20%. And yeah, again, it depends on also what they're hunting as well. Why don't you want me to see this wound on your forehead to show everybody? Now the wind's swirling again, so they're getting confused about where they're smelling and if they're actually picking up on what they should. Lynn, yeah, it's possible on that wind that pulled through that they had smelled Tundi's kill. I have a feeling because of the type of wind that it was that they were smelling more of where Tundi was, but it is possible that they could smell a bit of her kill. They've now changed directions back to the other way that they were headed to before, so their curiosity was piqued and then it wasn't substantial enough to keep them going. So I think if they could really smell Tundi's kill, they probably would have kept going because they're hungry. I think it more had to do with her scent around here, swirling around in the general area. Now, it's going to be difficult for me to get around this little patch, but I'm going to do the best that I possibly can. Doing a little bit of boondu bashing here. And while I'm doing this, let's head on over to Tristan so you can look at a leopard. All right, so we've come up on these dried mud pans, and obviously these lionesses know their area quite well, and they've all sort of stopped and they're looking around and smelling. We've got these two together, and then to their right-hand side, we've got this one female that's just behind a tree, and she is looking, or she just was looking, sort of in front of her for the past little while. There she goes. So I couldn't tell if she saw something, but I think maybe she's just possibly smelled something. And I've seen quite a bit of Nyala and kudu in this area before. There, she stopped again in front here and is looking again. The wind is pushing their scent towards us rather than in front of them, so sort of at an angle. So it would be a good hunting scenario. I can't see what they see. Gizmo, they can do about 22.1 meters a second, so it's about 80 kilometers an hour. It's quick. It's very quick. Their distance from me right now is about 10 to 12 meters. So in half a second, they could be to where Seb and I are sitting. They see something. Sorry, I just want to listen for a minute. I don't hear any oxpeckers. Lynn, you're curious to know if leopards can outrun lions. So Lynn, leopards can do 23 meters in a second, which is 90 kilometers an hour. And then the lions, again, is 22.1 meters a second, so about 80 kilometers an hour. So over a 100-meter sprint, if they were both starting at the same time, then yes. But obviously, if one has advantage to the other, then no, not necessarily. There was a vulture in the tree just now that's flown off. We've seen quite a few vultures in this little area, but I'm not seeing or smelling anything that's dead. The vultures aren't close to where Tundi is with the kill. There's one actually still up in the tree at our 10 o'clock. That's not to say that there isn't possibly something else that we haven't caught a whiff of. There we go, a little white-backed vulture there. We saw about 6 or 8 of them. So 2 of the lionesses have laid down, and 1 lioness is starting to walk forward. I don't want to move from where I am at the moment, because to me, they've seen something and they're investigating it. So I just want to give them some time to do that without the sound of the vehicle. And without hearing anything in the bushes or hearing any oxpeckers or physically seeing what they see, I couldn't tell you. It's just guessing. And again, my guesses would be Nyala or kudu. All right, Tundi is back in a tree, so let's go to her, and then we'll keep an eye on these lions. Scott, I'm also hoping these lionesses find a meal, although it seems that whatever they were looking at wasn't enough of interest or close enough for them to do anything, because now they're just lying down and resting. Even with the cloud cover, it has gotten warmer just in the past sort of 20 minutes. And so I think they're going to take a rest and then carry on. If anything comes past them at this point, they will definitely go for it. But I don't think it's going to happen this morning. I also think that whatever warthogs they were chasing around that they weren't able to catch used up a lot of their energy. But saying that, there's something on the air. See them smelling there. We might get lucky. It is a waiting game. She had her nose up in the air just now. It's also difficult because we don't have any of the seasonal water pans or pans that are filled with water at the moment because it's too dry. A lot of the places where they would usually be able to find food walking the way that they're walking isn't necessarily going to be here. There's not huge amounts to eat and there's no water. So a lot of the prey species are going to be gathered around places where there are. So Twin Dams, Biffle's Hook Dam, Chitwa Dam. Those areas. Even Djuma Dam, there's no water inside, unfortunately. Starlight, you're asking which animal was the original feline. So I think you're asking sort of out of lion, leopard, cheetah, who was the original, maybe tiger as well. Which tigers, obviously, we don't get here. Starlight, I actually don't know. I know that they're all descendants of prehistoric mammal species. Something that comes to mind is sort of a saber-toothed cat, but it's the connection is far and wide. So remember that the evolution of species is not linear. It doesn't go straight in a line. It branches off like trees. Even us as Homo sapiens sapien, we're a funny little branch. We're not a direct line. And so these ones have branched off at a certain point, just happen to have the evolutionary skills and material needed to carry on the way that they're carrying on now. It's just going to get a spider web quickly. And then the other ones that didn't manage to have that one or two. I'm looking at Seb, so I want to say je ne sais quoi. That special something didn't make it. So I couldn't tell you who the original one was. Be interesting to know. But that's my thought process behind it. Interesting. So our lionesses, again, still lying down. Still not doing much of anything at the moment. Having a quick little nap. Oh, Tristan, they're so lazy. The wind picks up every now and then, and the wind direction is now coming from our west, so not from where you are, with Tundi, excuse me. And they smell it every now and then, but I think they're down and out for the count. I think that whatever action we had it earlier, and it was nice to get some moving lions, as opposed to sleeping lions, but now they're doing exactly what lions need to do to conserve their energy, which is to take a bit of a nap. Oh, you can see that thing on her head now on the right-hand side female there, Seb. Ah, you got it before I even knew. There we go. So that's a claw mark, I would say, from feeding and possibly feeding on something small and really trying to sort of get as much as she possibly can. They're not nice to each other when they eat. They're mean. They're greedy. So they love each other now, but then the food's there and it's all bets are off. Shame. But it'll heal. They usually do. And they're taking turns. So the one with the wound on her forehead is taking a little bit of a nap. This one's head is up. The one with the wound on the side that's a little bit to the left, she's now taking a little bit of a rest. And they're alternating like that. Cheetahs do that often, and cheetahs do that on purpose, so they can always, when they're in coalition, so they can always have an eye out for anything that could be bothering them. These lionesses are doing it because the wind keeps swishing and has different intensities, and so they keep picking up different smells and sounds. And because they're hungry, they're interested in those smells and sounds. If they weren't hungry, they would just be sleeping. All right. As I'm just busy having a look around here to see if I can see anything and or hear anything, which I can't at the moment, let's head on up to Ralph and the Mara and see what he's up to. So Ralph, you have me in hysterics picturing you hanging out the side of the car like Ace Ventura. I'm absolutely losing it right now. It's the best visual. You need to come back to South Africa soon. All right. Well, it seems as if the water, it's not gremlins today, but it's water that's keeping the Mara occupied, whether it's rain or a flooding torrent. Jamie, I hope you managed to get out. That's a very uncomfortable situation. I was thinking about that big rain that we had in December, where your car almost got pushed downstream. So I'm really hoping that's not happening to you. I'm not laughing at you. I'm still thinking about Ralph hanging out the side of the car like Ace Ventura. Okay, the giggles have set in. I don't think you want to watch me giggle. I think you want to watch the lions. One of them's up. She can smell something. Okay, so many of you are asking, Ratty Rot in particular, Do lions tend to get more ticks and flies than leopards because you've been seeing more ticks and flies around the lions than you have been seeing around the leopard? I think in general they tend to get the same amount, but with that being said, leopards also spend some of their times up in trees and then some of their times on the ground. So lions are always on the ground for the most part. I know we've seen some tree climbing lions in the Mara with Taylor recently. But also where the lions are lying is going to be in grass, and then the ticks are going to crawl on them. So we've seen ticks with Hasana, and we've seen ticks with Tingana often, and a lot of times we find them lying in the grass underneath trees. So I just think today in particular might just be a more tick-infested day. Also, I've been getting more tick bites walking around recently, and that has to do with the grass drying and not being very moist around. So I think that we're also just starting to notice more of them around because of that as well. I've got my giggles under control. Sorry, everybody. I still have that wonderful vision of Ralph in my head, though. Now they're back. Nudie Cat, this is a serious conversation, so I am going to control my giggles. All right, Nudie Cat, you want to know if lions have died from starvation. And Nudie Cat, that is a huge affirmative. Yes, indeed. Remember, everything can't live forever. And one of the checks and balances that Mother Nature puts into place is that when predators get too large in number, there's not enough prey, and then they lower the predator population by the fact that they don't have anything to eat. And then, yes, they'll die of starvation. I've seen a few lions die of starvation. I've seen a couple of males that were ousted from their territory by other males that then had trouble getting something to eat. Not that males can't hunt, but they were just sort of regulated to areas on the outskirts of their territory and their home range that just weren't plentiful with game. So, yes, it definitely does happen. There's also areas where in Botswana where it gets very arid, where if there's no water, then there's no prey, and then if the predators can't travel far enough, then or their territories they're hemmed in by other predators, other lions, let's say, that they can't get to food. I've also seen things like that happen up in Kenya and Tanzania. So yes, definitely, that can definitely happen, and it is sad, but it's all part of nature. All right, now Scotty D is still out on bushwalk. And he's had some amazing things this morning, so I think let's head back to him and see what else he has for us.